One half of all my parents are dead. The other half are aging and not very good at technology and probably won't see this video. But at this point in my life now, I could admit some of the ways I tortured my little sister. And I think the statute of limitations for any crimes are way past. So let's talk about it. And some of this influenced my coaching to this day. And it's what's made me great. And it made her life pretty tough. Sometimes great, sometimes tough. Real sorry. Anyway, I don't want to start from the start, but let's start small. And let's start on the trip to Washington. We were in a van, Dodge van, on the way here. We got close to Washington. We got close to Yakima, Washington. My sister, at age, I don't know, 5-ish, spits her gum out into my hair. And I knew one thing at age 8-ish, that gum and hair is bad. I immediately, as fast as I could, snatched it out of my hair. Realized it didn't stick to my hair, but it was definitely going to stick to hers. And I mashed it into her forehead hair. Mashed it. It had to be cut out. There was no amount of peanut butter or ice or whatever trick. So she had a nice patch of no hair right there. Welcome to Yakima, Washington. Sorry. Anyway, we ended up down in Wapato, Washington, had the school bus take us out to the middle of nowhere on these farms and dirt roads. That was our first experience with dirt roads after being Army brats. And gravel and rocks. And we'd get off the bus. And as soon as the bus would go by, I'd pick up rocks and I'd say, run. And we had about a quarter mile, maybe 500-meter long driveway. And I would throw rocks at her and chase her home. By the way, when she was a freshman in high school, she made the relay teams and went to state right away. I did not make it to state ever. And she did. So first coaching. Second coaching, we learned moving out to Wapato, we had some horses, and we learned that if you put oats in a bucket and shake it, they come over, classic conditioning. And that if you had that bucket, they would follow you, They knew what the bucket was and where the oats was and the noise and the munchie and the yum yum. And I took that little sister, took oats in the bucket, shook it, tied it to her back and pushed her into the pasture. And the horses started walking over and she was like, no, started to run. They started to run. The faster she ran, the faster they ran. And she was very, very, very upset. Panicky. But moving so fast. Second coaching. Yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, after we moved to Yakima, though, and we stayed with my grandma Trudy, she had this big old house like in town. And we were in this little side room on the first floor, but the house is kind of high. So like if you jumped out of the window on the first floor, you had a ways to go. And I was mad at her and I went to go push her out that window, but the window was closed and I didn't realize because Grandma Trudy kept the house real clean. And yeah, we broke that window with her head. Oh, I got in trouble a little bit. I think it was her head. She should have gotten in trouble. I shot her in the armpit with a BB gun, but it wasn't my fault. I think God did it. I'll tell you why. So, you know how trailer houses, they have those little wooden steps that they use when you don't build a porch yet. You put it, especially on the back door, just put those little wooden steps up there. And I had a BB gun, the kind you pump, and 3 pumps should do it. And I had it pumped 20 times. And she was standing by those steps at the back door. And I said, freeze. And she was frozen. And then she reached for the door. And I don't know why, but I pulled the trigger and shot her right in the armpit. What a shot. And she screamed really loud, like murder. And I had never shot a person directly in the armpit before in my young life. And yeah, and we were still single digit age. And she screamed, and I felt really bad and scared. And I went over because I thought I'd get in trouble too. She had a tiny scratch on her armpit, and I was like, "You're fine. No blood, no whatever." The next day, she was bruised from nearly her elbow, like down her rib cage, like her whole armpit was bruised. I felt kind of bad. I was like, "Oh, I guess it did hurt." Well, whatever. Like, you can't trust kids. Okay, what's her point? And when I stabbed her in the back of the head with that horse syringe, it was more of an accident. Like we were playing around with it, and somehow it just ended jabbing, into the back of hitting the bone. She's fine. Like, she is so. I mean, yeah, she's had hip surgery and gonna need something with the shoulder, and she's still pretty young. The things, they are not related. These are not related. Anyway, that's a good start. Um, Dear sister, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Bye.